You're listening to From Our Lens, a podcast for photographers and brides where we dive into all things weddings.
Whether you're a pro behind the lens or a bride-to-be, we've got you covered.
Join in on the conversation and take it from the gals who have been to a wedding or two.
Grab your camera or your wedding planner and tune in for our hot wedding takes. Let's focus on your forever.
Hello and welcome. Me and Sarah are back and we're ready to chat about all things weddings again. Yes. At least I am. I can't talk for Sarah, I guess.
I'm always down to chat weddings.
Yes, I thought so. But today we're going to break down one part of your wedding and like some general tips about how to make it go the smoothest it can. Yes. So today we're talking about all things getting ready because I think it's one part of the day that people, again, don't really think about.
And we're going to make this like a bit of a series, like getting ready, ceremony, portrait, reception, and like break down like tips, things you can do to make it run smoother, you know, all the things.
Yeah. I think a whole episode about this is going to be so fun because there's so many things that we can talk about that, again, I think people don't think about. So
totally. Yeah. So I guess what's your favorite part of, you know, the getting ready?
My favorite part? I think my favorite part is actually like showing up, like, and not even taking pictures yet. But I honestly love showing up because the vibe in the room, getting ready in the morning is just like so good. Nothing's happened yet. Everyone's just excited. Everyone looks so good. I like love hyping everyone up because I like to creep and like see what everybody's wearing and say hi to everybody. And I think that's my favorite because I think it's just really like setting the mood for the whole day. And it's just, honestly, I just love getting excited with everybody and hyping you all up.
Yeah. And it's fun to like walk in and read the room of like, okay, what's this day going to be like? Cause
you don't really know until you get in there.
And you have an idea, but once you like walk in and like, if the bridesmaids are like drinking mimosas and doing shots, or like you walk in and everyone's serious and stressed and nervous, you know, it's going to be like a different vibe.
What's your favorite part
of the getting ready?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always a sucker for like the doing up the dress and seeing, because I think that's like one of the most emotional. And whenever you have like the mom or whoever's doing up the dress and then they turn around and they see the bride and then all the tears start flowing, that's like one of my favorites. Or like first looks with just parents or grandparents in general. I think that's so cute. But I agree with you on the like walking in and just being like, hey, and like.
Yeah, because like I'm excited to see you. Hopefully you're excited to see me.
Yeah,
we can both be excited together.
Yeah. And I guess like for that, I think we should just jump into tips. Like starting from the beginning, the biggest thing that I get questions from brides is what time do you start? Because obviously you don't want to get there when at 5 a.m. in the morning when the bridesmaids are getting their makeup done. Like that's just a waste of your hours. So what do you tell brides when they say, what time should we start?
Yeah. So, I mean, like when we have our little phone call consultation and we are trying to figure out like the flow of the day and try and figure out when they're getting their makeup done, like the brides specifically. Mm-hmm. Because as girls, we don't want pictures with like half of our makeup done. We want pictures done when you're like almost done, when you're pretty much freshly ready to go. So I'll try and start to get there when hopefully they're at the end of their makeup. So I try and gauge that with when their makeup's starting for me to arrive. I'll try and arrive for when they're pretty much done. Yeah. And then I leave myself some time, like even if I want to arrive like a little bit before they're done so I can get there. Because the first thing that I do is I take pictures of their details. Like I don't even take pictures. I try not to take pictures of like anybody when I first get there because I want them to warm up to me. Like I don't want to show up and just be like, here's my camera, let's take some hot pics. Like, so when I arrive, I try and just start with details so that they can like realize that I'm there and get comfortable with me being there and not necessarily just taking photos right away.
And then they get to know your personality. And if you just arrive and stick a camera in someone's face, they're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be looking at you. They don't really get the fly on the wall kind of vibe yet. Yeah. So I think it's important to get there, start with the details, talk to people, interact, kind of show who you are.
And I try to, like, if I tell them I'm showing up at 10, I'll usually show up at like 9:45.
And also you never know with roads and stuff, like you could get into traffic and you don't want to be late. So I think it's important to, what was in school we learned if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. You remember that? Yeah.
I do remember that. Actually, when we were in school, part of our grade, like for our classes, was if you're on time, you get a good 100%. And every minute you're late, you get marked down. Like part of our grade was to show up on time because they were literally like, look, like you're in a photography program. And something that's really important to be a professional is to be on time. So they literally were like, they were keeping track. If we were late, that was coming off our grade.
I get being late anxiety, but I think it's so true. Like as a photographer, you can't be though. Right? So yeah.
I don't want to miss anything. So I it's really important. So as much as I am like a fly by the seat of my pants and like leave the house like 5 minutes before I have to, like when it's a wedding day, like I'm leaving half an hour before.
And some people, like, what do you think about not doing getting ready photos? Like, do you think it's important or like necessary, or like what changes when you don't have that portion of your day photographed?
So yeah, I think a lot of people, there are people that choose not to do it. And I think that that's definitely like your personal choice and you do what you want to do. But I think I personally think it's important. I mean, as like, from both perspectives. So I'm going to talk about it first from a photography perspective, but like we're here to take your photos. We're here to document your day. So when you decide not to do your getting ready photos, you're missing out on a big chunk of your day. So when we're thinking about a photographer telling your story, telling your wedding day story, you're missing a big chunk of that, like the beginning of the story. This is your day, and you're missing that. Like if you think about a book, and you think about you're reading a book, and you're thinking about the wedding. If we're reading a book about a wedding, if they just start at the ceremony, and they're like, oh, they were walking down the aisle, and that's when the book starts, you're always going to be wondering, like, oh, like what happened before that?
Yeah. How did they get to this point of looking beautiful?
Yeah. And honestly, the getting ready is a beautiful part of your story. And there's so many little moments that happen in that like little short period. And then if you're thinking about from a bride's perspective, like a bride and groom, I guess, not just brides, but you guys aren't together in the morning. Like that's the one part of the day that you're not together. So I mean, if it was me, I'd want to know what my man was doing.
Yeah, and see him getting his suit on and his tie.
I want to see him. I want to see his handsome like smile. Like I want to see him putting the suit on, and I'm sure he wants to see you. And like, I think that if you miss out on that, like you're missing out on just a big chunk of beautiful little memories that you will never see because you weren't there together.
And it's part of your day and your story. And like, if you're putting time and money and thought into like, oh, my bridesmaids, we're all going to wear these pajamas or these robes, and then we're going to have these, and like if you're putting your time and that's part of your story, then I think like, yeah, have it documented. Like, I think that if your photographer can even get in there for 20 minutes,
oh my God, yeah. Even like the little moments where you're like, oh my God, my dress is about to be put on, and you're like all cheeky about it. Or like even like your mom crying in the corner like secretly, but like us photographers will see her because we're like we're ready. Exactly. But like you might not be looking for her. Like I'm thinking of like little moments where your dad's like perfecting his like cowboy hat in the kitchen. Yeah. Like your little flower girl like looking at your dress. That's like an iconic photo that everybody wants to have. Cute. Yeah. Just the little things. Maybe it's like something goofy, like your girls are having a dance party like Cardi B in the bathroom. Like I don't know, but like,
or like people like are doing last minute things to get ready. Like sometimes they'll be like bridesmaids are like fixing bouquets or cute little details. And like you don't notice that as a bride because you're sitting there, you're nervous and anxious and getting ready for the ceremony, and to have like, oh, I didn't even know that happened. I didn't know my mom and dad did this. I didn't know the bridesmaids were goofing off, like.
No, and honestly, a good photographer can capture the essence of a room and the essence and the vibe of something happening. So if you can find somebody that can capture that vibe, it just like, it's just such a beautiful memory to look back on. Like it's I don't know, I wouldn't get rid of it because I love it. It's just it's the quiet moments of your day that make the story.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, I think there's so much excitement and nerves and like there's so many emotions that are in the getting ready photos, because it's really like, unless you do a first look, it's like the main thing before the ceremony.
I think really like if you're gonna choose, my biggest point, if it were me, I would be like, I just don't want to miss on what my partner's doing, because I want to see what they're doing. Like, just be like,
and you're not together. You're in different places doing different things. And the guys getting ready is so different than the girls.
it really is. It's like a whole different ball game.
But I guess like when it comes to choosing and decorating, or, you know, like for like your getting ready location, I have a lot of things that I say for tips, but like what are some of yours?
Well, I think we're probably very similar, but I think one of the main things is you want to have enough room for what you're doing so that it's not cramped and it's not like just everything clumped together. And with that in mind, you want to make sure you have like a nice open clean space. And I think maybe being clean is like my biggest one. Because we all know, and like there's a point, right? It's hard because so many things are happening at one time, and a good photographer too can get you the good angles to kind of eliminate that, but also show it off at the same time, like the chaos, the beauty chaos of like what is happening. But I mean, you don't want duffel bags that say your high school football team in the middle of the living room. So there's little just kind of tidying up things that aren't to do with your day. I think it is my biggest point, because when I show up at a wedding, I mean, and this is personally something that I do, but like I'll clean it up, because I'll show up and I'll be like, okay, Bobcats football are not going to be part of their wedding gallery, because as much as we love the Bobcats, they are not getting married today. It is you two. So,
and I think even having a person that's the designated like cleaner, because just take all of it and just throw it in a room if you have to, because you don't want like a cup sticking out of someone's head in a shot.
No, also make sure to close the door.
Yes.
Put it in the room and then also close the door.
Close the door. We don't want to see it. Out of sight, out of mind. It wasn't there. But that's where I think like hotel rooms, and I understand sometimes, like, especially if you're a destination, it's like your only option, but they can be so hard to shoot in. Because
you don't really have the opportunity to keep it clean.
No, and they're small, and like everyone for getting ready brings in all their stuff. So if you can even have like a room where you get ready and then a room to put all the stuff, you know, you do as much as you can, like moving stuff, but there's only so much you can do sometimes when everyone's getting ready in one room, and then you have to like Photoshop out garbage and Starbucks cups and, you know.
But if you have the chance, I think keep it as tidy as you can, for sure. Because that will make it'll just make a big difference when you're looking back at your photos and you don't see that Starbucks cup that you're talking about that you have to throw out or whatever.
And then I guess like if you have the options too of picking your, like if you're getting ready in a house or Airbnb, whatever, pick a room with natural lighting, because we can stress it and stress it and stress it. Like artificial fake lighting, like that's just like, you know, your typical bedroom lighting or your living room lighting. It's not pretty. It clashes with the natural light. It's not good. So if you have any big windows, use that. It looks the most flattering. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Like as much as like maybe you do have beautiful lighting in your home and it is very bright from the overhead lights, something we learned in school, and like it's kind of like just the basis of lighting, but usually natural light is the most flattering light you can ever ask for. Yeah. And even if your house or whatever room you're getting into has beautiful overhead lighting and it's super bright and you think it's fine, like it might be fine, and that's like, but most of the time lighting from above is not very flattering on anyone's face. Like it's kind of it's one of those light, like it's one of those things that just doesn't really make anybody look great, and it's okay, but like I think, well, not that I think, I know. I know that window lighting, if you have enough of it, is just it's coming from the side. It's nice, and it's usually softer. It's like very flattering on anyone's face, and it'll make you look better at the end of the day.
Totally. And it's not orange, and like I don't know, if that's the thing with hotels too, that's so hard. It's typically like the windows in hotels are so tiny, and then you have to like mix the artificial. Like I'm not saying like don't get ready in a hotel, because I think there's some hotels with big windows and big rooms that would be good, but your typical hotel, so hard to shoot in.
Yeah, and then also they're pretty small. So if you're thinking about a party of 6, because you have your bridal party with you, you're limiting like the photos you can take, because there's only so much you can do in a small room. And like if you have a bigger space with nice lighting, you can do a lot more and get more of those pretty photos that you want.
Totally. And then it's just like more chaotic, I think. Like if you're in a small space, everyone's bumping into each other and you're like moving around people, and I don't know, it's just, and it's louder and
it's just more of a challenge. Yeah. And it's not that you can't do it. It just makes it a little bit harder, I guess.
I think like the first things that we both do going into getting ready is you like look around, you analyze the space, you're like, what's the lighting? Okay, shut off all the like the fake lights, let all the natural light come in. You start picking up garbage, like moving things around.
Another reason why I try and show up early, because I don't want to waste my time that you hired me for to clean up. Like I still want to do it, but I don't want to waste our like scheduled time.
And you want to figure out the space and like, okay, where am I going to do the details? Where am I going to hang the dress? Where like should we do the like putting on the dress shot? You know, like there's so many things to think about. And I guess like another thing that goes into vibe is like music. Are you going to have the news on? Are you going to have music on?
Sometimes, like, I'm notorious for, like, turning on music for my brides. No, because, like, listen, it's obviously, like, the last thing on your mind. Like, it's one of those things that, like, yeah, like, it's probably not, like, on the top of your list of things to, like, worry about, which I totally get. But I love going into a room and the girls have, like, their feel-good music on and they're having, like, a great time. Because it's, like, background noise. And it gives you something to, like, just do when you're not thinking, and it honestly does set the mood. Like it honestly it helps the nerves. Whenever I'm stressed, I turn music on because I like sometimes you need to dance it out. Sometimes you need that music, and you know what, like you want to be in that lovey mood. So I always like if they have nothing on, I'm like, hey girls, like we should turn on some music, and they're usually like, oh my god, yeah, we should.
And when you're so stressed and like trying to think of all the things, that's probably the last thing you think of, but having it subconsciously just like even quietly playing in the background. And like if you have time, make a playlist of like wedding songs. I think that's so cute when people have like all the feel good kind of music, or like
even if it's not just like general wedding songs, but it's just like songs you guys love. Because like, okay, I just love this. Like imagine you're getting ready, you're like getting your eyelashes on or whatever it is. set the scene, okay?
Yeah.
And like your man's favorite song comes on and you're like, oh, and then you start tearing up. Exactly. I'm like gonna cry. Yeah. But you're like, and okay, it could be something goofy, like maybe his favorite song is like, I don't know,
Baby Got Back.
Okay, love it. But actually though, you're like in your mood, you're listening to like Bruno Mars, and then Baby Got Back gets on and you're like, oh, I can't wait to marry this man. And you're like, it's just a vibe, you know? I feel like it's cute. No, and honestly, it gives you one way to enjoy your getting ready instead of stressing through it.
Yeah. And just like kind of, you know, I think there's so many nerves when it comes to ceremonies, and just distract yourself.
It is a great distraction.
So we talked about this briefly before we started, but food and beverages during getting ready for boys and the girls. How
we're going to split this between girls and boys.
Yeah. Should we start with food?
It is so important. First of all, you don't want to be drained halfway through the day because you can do whatever. Like you can have a nice little buzz, but I feel like you definitely don't want to overdo it in the morning. You want to just slowly get into it, I feel like.
And, like, there's nothing wrong with having a mimosa and whatever, but, like, you know, just... And then it affects your photos.
Think about it.
The amount of, like, photos I've had where, you know, they have a couple and their eyes start to, you know, get a little squinty, and then you have to, like, open them up in Photoshop, and it can be problematic.
And then, yeah, but like I think if you have a good balance of food and with your bevies, I think you'll be fine. Listen, have some pancakes. Like, girl, we need to eat. We need to all eat. And that can be
get pre-made. Like I've seen people get like just like a bunch of little tiny like Subway, like just something to fill you up.
I know, that's actually a great point, because yeah, you really should be eating more, because think about it, you're skipping lunch anyway, so just eat your heart out, honestly.
Exactly. And people are like, oh, I don't want to eat with my dress. And it's like, then get a dress that you're not worried about, because I think it's more important to eat.
Yeah. And then I guess with the boys, it's the same piece of advice. Eat and don't drink too much.
But I think the emphasis for the boys is like minimal beverages.
I think the boys, like, listen, I love getting ready with the guys. It's honestly fun. I love like their energy, because they bring the energy. Like they are a whole vibe, and they just want to celebrate their man. Like it's their boy. Like they want to celebrate him. So I'm not there to like crap all over it. But it's fun, and it's definitely like we just need to like bring it get it through their heads that they can party. It's not like we're saying don't party, boys, but you need to party later on.
And also, like, I think focus. Because sometimes guys in the bridal party will just get it in their head, like, party, drink, whatever. And, like, as the photographer, sometimes you're just like, can you focus? And, like, you're trying to tell them, like, this is our pose. And then a guy's over here peeing, a guy's over here shotgunning. Like,
It's hurting cats. It really is hurting
literally
cats.
hurting drunk cats. Yeah, it's fun, and like it's not all the time that these guys are like insanely chaotic, but like often, especially if you get the bigger the bridal party, the more cats and the harder they are to herd. So it's just, you know, and it depends on the group of guys, and like it's kind of, I think a big thing with the guys is to have like a mother hen, whether it's one of the boys or like literally the boy, like the groom's mom. Someone to be, you know, the cattle herder, like keep them in line, keep them
Just on track, I guess, really is what it is. I'm not going to go in there and like tell them to just knock it down a few notches. I'm going to go in there and like I want them to be that excited because that's how they are.
That's how they're feeling. Because most of the time we get there, the boys are hopping out of the shower, running around in their underwear. Chaos.
Honestly,
chaos.
Or it's either that or they're like fully dressed and there's nothing. And then you have to get them undressed to do it again.
And I guess like a point with that is like, okay, yeah, have an organization person, have a mom there or like a mature man, whoever, to just say, okay, photographer's coming, do, this is what we do.
Yeah, so definitely like that. That's one thing to just make sure you talk about 100%.
Another thing pre-planning is like when a bride is getting ready a couple days before, some tips for this. Make sure, whether it's the night before or 2 days before, iron those bridesmaids' dresses before the morning.
100%. It's just one thing that like you can do, like it's one of those things that you don't have to do the morning of, so try and do it a different day so you don't have to worry about it.
There's always someone steaming those dresses.
Always.
When you're the bridesmaid that gets their makeup done at 5:30 in the morning and you're the first one done, then you're the one steaming the dresses and your makeup is melting and your hair is frizzing because you're with the steamer.
Yeah, honestly. And yeah, like if you can do anything that you don't like, if you can do anything the day before or the days before, do it. Like I know it's busy, but I think it's important to make time. Another thing, I was gonna just say details, like when you're getting all your stuff ready in the week before your wedding and you're trying to get everything organized, I would take all your wedding details, because you know us photographers love to take pictures of your details on like in like a pretty back, like all laid out together in a pretty background and stuff. We love that. The easiest way to get photos like that, so it's not taking up too much time and you're not running around trying to find everything, is you throw all that stuff in a bag or a box, like your shoes, your earrings, your perfume, your vows, maybe just like little details, like if you have little Polaroids of yourself or I don't know, just like personal touches, put it on a box so that when you're, first of all, when you're looking for it, you know where it is. And then secondly, when your photographer shows up on your wedding day and they're taking all those photos, they can just grab your box, go and take them, put everything back in your box, and then give it back to you or put it wherever it was. And then there's no way anything's getting lost. Totally. There's no way you're missing out on a picture that you wanted if you have it in your box. Yeah. And then you know where everything is to, like, when it's time to put your necklace on, you're like, oh, it's in the box. Yes. And you know, because I think something that I'm always scared because I don't want to do this, but I don't want to take everyone's details and then forget the necklace on like the counter, and then she forgets she had a necklace and then she doesn't put it on because I had it out for photos or whatever it is. It helps everybody all the way around, and I think it helps it be more organized.
And then you're not scrambling like so many times brides are like, oh, you want the invitation? And they're looking through the house trying to find the invitation. They're like, oh, you want the earrings? And then they're running around, or like the maid of honor or the mom. Yeah. Someone's going crazy. Yeah. No, you want it all. And then, like you said, when you go to put your earrings on, oh, they're in the box. The necklace, they're in the box. My shoes, oh, they're in the box.
Yeah. It's like, it's honestly, because all those little things, really, if you think about it, you don't need them till like 5 minutes before you leave, kind of. Like you put those things on last anyways, and then it's all ready for you. And I just don't want anyone to be like stressed looking for it because I want a photo of it. Like it's something that we don't need to worry about. So doing that beforehand helps it.
And they're always such cute photos. Like, I don't know, there's something about like a nice flat lay detail shot that's so timeless and so special, especially when you have those sentimental items like, you know, a piece of jewelry your fiance gave you, or a grandma's earrings, or, you know, perfume, whatever it is.
Well, and again, if we're talking about, like, it helps with your story. Like, it helps pull all your things, everything together. So another thing that, I mean, everybody usually wants a photo of this is, like, your dress hanging up all beautifully. It's, like, floofed all nice. Everyone wants that iconic shot. I think there's a few things to think about if you want that 100%. Because to get a shot like that, you definitely need a place to do it. You can't do that in a room that's really small and crammed and there's nowhere to hang it. And you definitely need to think about, like it's the same thing, tidy up your room and tidy up your area you're in, because again, you need a lot of space for those kinds of photos. And if it's not tidy, it's a little harder to do it. And it does take more time to clean up an area, right? So something like, maybe even if you have a certain spot you want to hang your dress up, try it out. Try and hang it up there beforehand. Make sure that room or that space is tidy.
And there's something to physically hang it off of. That's a big thing too.
Or even like if that's really important to you, make sure you like tell that to your photographer so that they can then really like find you a good spot for it. And like too, I love showing up, and usually like a lot of the times people don't care where you put it. So I like to take time and just walk around the space and figure out where would be a good spot. Sometimes they'll take it outside even, which is fun if you have the space to do that. But yeah.
What are your favorite spots for dress shots? It's so hard sometimes.
It is hard because it really does depend on the space you're in. I usually try and I like hanging them in the space you're getting ready in because it's part of the story. Like taking it fully away sometimes doesn't add to your story because you do want it kind of like where you are and where you're getting ready. I try and find a clean place in the house that has like a nice lighting. And that you can hang it from, obviously. I sometimes will go with like the front of a house, like in the doorway, because I feel like that's a beautiful way to start the story off, because a lot of time you don't think, oh, I need a picture of the front of my house for my wedding gallery. No, but
but if it's like your parents' house, your grandma's house, like there can be a story with that too. If you can use a special location with your dress, it definitely.
Another spot I think of is like a staircase. I know lots of houses don't have this, but staircases are some of my favorite places to hang dresses.
If you can do it somewhere cool on a staircase,
or trees, because I love that. If there's like a good
or the arch, the arch of like your ceremony.
Yeah, if you do. I mean, and every house is different, so I try and pick a different spot each time I go to a new house.
And personalize it to the couple, and
yeah, I don't want it to be the same every time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
So I hope, I feel like we threw a bunch of stuff into this one episode.
I think we had a lot of tips, but
I think it'll help though. I hope it'll help you think about just some things, get you started on thinking about some things for your getting ready and things that you can do to make it better.
Yeah. And it's good to know, because all of these are things that, you know, sometimes brides ask us or they're like, oh, I wish I would have done this. A lot of them are like things that brides have been like, yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, 100%. And like really, like we've seen it all. I've seen the small places, I've seen the large places, and you can make nice photos in all of those environments as long as you're kind of like mindful about it and mindful about what you want. Yeah. Sweet. Oh, I love that. I can't wait for everybody to take all our advice so we can go to all these beautiful weddings and have beautiful getting ready.
And hopefully we gave something that's actually useful. Like hopefully you can take something from this, and for the photographers and the brides, like different tips, different things. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Oh, love it. Talk to you soon.
Bye.